Shalom, shalom, it's falling Yeshua. Welcome again to the Rock, and it happened. Russia went into Ukraine, which I think most of us believed was going to happen. Falling Yeshua, why didn't you talk about it? Was I going to stop it? What was I going to do about it? Except what I've always been doing. Preparing myself for the changes that we are seeing in this world. Financially, economically, socially, morally, spiritually. So, whatever side you are on this conflict, I guess you call it a war now. Wherever side you stand on, Putin's has his mind made up that he wants the military of Ukraine gone, disbanded, essentially, and he wants the leadership of Ukraine replaced. I've read that from multiple news outlets. But how does that affect you? That's really what it comes down to. I know that the word on the streets is America's not going to go in, they're not going to put boots on the ground, but let's just say, peradventure, they do. Well, that could have even more disastrous ramifications. Economically, this is going to have ramifications. In Europe, gas prices went up 62% in certain areas overnight. So just look at this. With what you're saying, we always have this idea that things won't affect us. And what if they do? What if they do? What ideas, what plans, what moves can you make? Especially, as this is going to affect the financial markets. This is going to affect things economically, whether you like it or not. And I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend that I'm a forecaster of, geopolitics or, I'm not going to pretend that. All I can say is my plan is getting my family continually in a place where we won't have to be nearly as affected. Now, I know some people, well, what if they nuke? Well, if that happens, it's a game changer. But, the things that I can get myself ready for, such as economics, the food, gas, things like that, I can get myself ready for that, and you can get yourself ready for that. Now, that's going to have taken you and you have had the ability to foresee the evil and to plan yourself. If you have not been able to feel the tensions in this world and in this country, you have your eyes closed. You don't want to feel it. You don't want to see what's happening. You don't want to know anything. You just want to close your eyes and pretend, and hey, it's another day. You should have been, and should have always been, getting yourself and your family ready, brothers. You should have been doing that. This year you should have planned for a very large garden. You should have planned to grow and produce as much as you possibly can. Instead of blowing your money on things that are frivolous, weird ass entertainment things, and why not this has been a perfect time for you to put that money into things that are tangible. Land. If you're a silver and gold person, if you're an ammo person, a firearm person, if you're a land person, if you're a lumber person, instead of dropping all this money on crap, the newest shoes and the newest doodads and stuff like that, let me just tell you, you can't eat a pair of $500 Nikes. Well, I'm not worried about it because I got all the money that I need, and we've already said, you may have it, but does that person over there have it? And does that person over there have it? Do they have the money to take care of themselves? And if they don't have the money to take care of themselves, and they notice that you have the money to take care of yourselves, what do you think is going to happen? They're just going to leave you alone? Things are I don't want to say ramping up, because they've been ramped up. But it's been so obviously clear that during the 7 years of plenty, people were complacent and they were completely content, living their lives. Now that famine is staring many in the face, in many different forms, whether it's financial famine or literal, you ain't got no food famine. Now that it's staring people in the face, people want immediate answers. They want answers that took many of us who have come out of her and done this thing. They want the 3-month version of a 5-year answer, or a 10-year answer, 20-year answer. For those of you who've been doing this for 20 years, they want the 5-minute version. They want the 5-month version of that answer. And there is no 5-month version. I mean, you can do as much as you can right now. I mean, I would really take an evaluation of my life and ask myself, if I'm a home owner, what can I do to grow as much food as I possibly can this year? If I'm a renter, how many totes can I purchase to grow as much food as I possibly can this winter? I mean, this year. How can I mitigate the costs? How can I protect myself? Do I have the required tools to protect myself, to protect my family, to protect my children? Have I invested myself in tangible assets? Have I invested myself in some silver, in a firearm, some ammo, some food, water, the ability to purify, cleanse water, not a gallon at a time. I'm not talking about a life straw. Let me say that I'm not talking about you picking up a life straw. You're not about to filter out enough water for your family of 5 with a life straw. Let's just keep it real now. I'm talking about being able to make it and to survive. Do you have the food? Do you have the necessities that are needed? I want to turn real quick to Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 29. Look at this. Starting at verse 21. Sorry, 20 and 21. Help thy neighbor according to thy power, and beware that thou thyself fall not into the same. The chief thing for life is water and bread and clothing and a house to cover shame. Do you have those things? Do you have those things that are needed, that the Apocrypha just clearly explained right there? Because if not, you're going to want them. Look at this. Sirach, same book, chapter 39, verse 26. The principal things for a whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All these things are for good to the godly, so to the sinners they are turned into evil. Do you have those things? The Bible's clearly telling you what the man needs for life. You may want to start taking these things in serious consideration as you go through the rest of this year, 2022. Yah willing, nothing happens, it all phases out. But if it doesn't, and if this thing accelerates, if this thing gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and it starts spreading, the conflict starts spreading, it starts affecting Europe. If it starts affecting Europe, it's going to affect this country, even if it's economically, even if it's the stock market, even if you're not invested in the stock market, it's going to affect you. So, we see things are happening across the globe. It's no longer this one-off thing. The instability is starting to really show. And it's going to affect people economically. It's going to affect people in more ways than they think. So what have you done? What have you done to prepare yourselves? What have you done to mitigate the prices and the costs? Because in order to thrive, it's going to cost you now. You can make all the money in the world, but if you don't have the ability to produce, you're just going to blow all that money as soon as you get it. Living a life that is useless, fruitless, good for nobody. And Yah forbid you're one of those people during the housing crisis. When you're on the streets, you lose your mind. Because you had the opportunity, you had many resources to prepare yourself, and you decided to blow your resources for some fun. Me, I ordered lumber, lots of it, because I plan on extending. I plan on opening up more space in my home. Meanwhile, I'm plowing or tilling new gardens for sales, for seeds, and to store. Canning, freezing, hatching my own chickens right now, propagating my own elderberries, my own figs, my own pears, my own apples, my own blackberries, my own goji berries. Doing everything that I possibly can. Because the famine is coming. I hope your eyes are open, that you can see it. And it's not just a famine physically, but we can already see the spiritual famines here. I get report after report of these so-called churches and camps and ministries and all this hypocrisy and all this wickedness that's taking place. I thank the Father that I'm not here, and that I have my beloved brothers, and I serve y'all and keep His commandments, and I have an awesome, awesome family. Bless y'all. Prepare for the famine. Shalom.